They said what it is it's like it started as a cyst, which is essentially a fancy word for zit, kind of, sort
Yeah.
of, like,
Yeah.
but it made channels in my gut, and then like it would find the next weak spot. So if you could look at it, it looks probably something like you would imagine a chipmunk's burrow,
Yeah.
but in my stomach, like between the fat and the muscle.
Good God.
So, and the problem is if they keep giving me these antibiotics and it kills the infection, but you don't take the sac part out, they can regrow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I don't like it's so bad that just picking up my daughters, if they wiggle wrong, it like makes me clinch in pain. Like if you were to punch me in the stomach right now, I'd go down in the fetal position with the flick. Like there's
Oh, jeez, man. Jeez. It's always something. There's something about Christmas that's just always something. I was talking to Melissa about it today, and I'm like we've never, like, there's always some weird thing going on at Christmas. Like last year, my dog died.
COVID stuff,
Yeah, my dog died like 3 days before Christmas, and your dad got COVID, and then like the year before that, our electricity was killed. Like half our house was out. Yeah. And then the year before that, one of us was unemployed. We didn't know how we were gonna make Santa happen. And then like this year, we're actually like pretty decent off. We've got a pretty good Christmas for everybody, and it's like nobody can stop like vomiting and coughing on each other. It's fucking terrible.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, have decided for whatever reason to tune into another horrible gaming podcast. I am not alone. Mostly I am never alone. With me is my intrepid podcast host, most weeks.
Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
And we are joined as the Triforce is completed once again. You guys know him. It's always the end of the year shows. You know him as the Buildmaster General.
Yo, what's up, old man? Fan Philbilly 330 here, back again on the podcast. It's my month to be relevant.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true. You're always relevant. This has been a light Philbilly content year, but that's only because you've been super
been a
busy.
lot going on.
Yeah, man, you had to build your own house. There's all sorts of shit going on.
Kid game this year.
Sometimes we got shit going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So, that being said, tonight we are doing our year in review. What did we think of 2022? What were our upsides? What were our downsides? We don't necessarily have to stay positive tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We stayed positive. Oh, wait, that's a later show. God. So hard to keep it straight.
As if we ever go towards the positive for any extended period.
Just
of time,
a disclaimer to everybody.
Actively forced.
We have recorded everything out of order. So the show you're gonna hear at the very start of next year was recorded before this one. So I'm all befuzzled. But yeah, we're gonna be all over the place. We're gonna do our year in review. We're gonna talk about 2022, the upsides, the downsides, what we liked, what we didn't like, and then probably more of what we didn't like because that's what we do here. And just a quick disclaimer: the guys, as I've said multiple times, can't actually see me when we're recording this. So you have probably noticed that I've got beautiful rainbow-colored nails. My daughter decided to come out and paint my nails, and I allowed it for whatever reason. So I have glittery, sparkly nails.
It's your dad duties.
Anybody out there who's like, I think Zach is looking a little bit more fabulous today. Yes, that is because Stella got to my hands. What's great is my shitty camera makes it actually looks like they were painted perfectly, but there's like nail polish like up my finger, and then there's missing spots on the finger. It was just a mad swiping of nail polish everywhere. So all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get into this. We're gonna take a quick break, then we will be right back with fan traction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment. That is fan interaction. That's where you guys, the fans, you talk to us, the co-hosts, you comment on our podcast, and we read them out. We respond to you. That's what we can offer as a small channel. So let's get right into it. We had a decent amount of comments from what I see here. Roughly like 9. Did we get? Yeah, okay. So we'll go right in the back. Backdraft coming in with Armored Core 6 equals full mast. Parentheses, if you know, you know. And then he also said Remnant 2 equals excitement. I'll be first to talk about this. Remnant 2 I'm very excited about Remnant 2. So is Mr. Philbilly.
Yes, sir.
I am also very excited for Armored Core 6. I know that Neil is not a mecha guy, and there are a few people in our audience that are not mecha guys. Myself, I enjoy a good mecha, and Armored Core is a good mecha game that has been dormant for nearly 10 years, I believe, as a franchise. I think Armored Core 5 came out something like 2012, something like that.
I'll say I've never played any of those games, but I did watch the promo or whatever for it, and it looks very interesting. It would be one that I'd be, I wouldn't be a day one adopter, but if someone told me it was good and explained it to me, I'd be open-minded about that one.
I like the aspect of you custom build robots from scratch, like your giant fighting robots from scratch, and you do it by earning money. So the loop is, you don't necessarily gain loot. The loop is you take a mission in your shitty robot. You go out, you try and beat the mission in your shitty robot. You earn money to buy the missile launcher you want, and then you stick that on the robot, and then you go out. That's the loop. And it's just a really satisfying, awesome loop. You play a robot pilot mercenary, I guess. Remnant 2 also looks exciting. All right, continuing. Bloody Nose! Bloody Nose. We are becoming fast friends, sir. I am totally okay with that. He says, holy crap, speedy recovery to all. Heart Band-Aid, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. We were talking about that off camera. I might even put it in as a bonus or an opening. But yeah, everybody is fucking sick except Neil. Somebody pissed off a voodoo witch doctor or something, because everybody has got snot coming out of their ass. They got shit growing out of their chest. It's just a fucking unholy nightmare. Merry Christmas. And then moving on, Bloody Nose 751, laughy face. What's up, man? Laugh out loud. Glad you enjoyed my comment. That's right. It's not necessarily about enjoyment there, Bloody Nose. It's about commitment, and we are committed to reading those comments. Even if I have to go back 2 weeks and fish through the comments to say meow into a fucking microphone, that's commitment here. That's what our listeners come back for. Then we're back to Backdraft. I'm under the impression that Zach doesn't like Hideo Kojima. All I'm going to do to respond to that is look into the camera with a gaze that somewhat says, come on. All right, moving on.
He doesn't like him, he loves him.
Bite your tongue. Oh, man. Okay.
I don't think it's the fact that, it's just, some people love Kojima. They, perpetuate it to some degree. I think it was IGN had a video up that was just him touring and showing off a studio. And it's just come on, like it's just like feeding into it.
There is an aspect of rage there, and maybe this is not the most healthy part of my hatred of Hideo Kojima, but there is an aspect of you. Not only are you so egotistical that you think this way about everything, but no one around you has said to you, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" You know, like, what are you thinking? Like, this isn't the way the world works. Like, nobody's checked him at all in any way, shape, or form. Like, everybody just feeds off of it. And then, like, games like Death Stranding come out. And even the review that says it's 6 out of 10 still has a bunch of really positive things about it in it. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, unless you tell him he's being an asshole, he's not going to know he's being an asshole too, you know? And do I think he'd correct his behavior if somebody said to him he's being an asshole? No, but I would love just one of these media companies, media outlets, award shows, whatever, to be like, Hideo Kojima is overrated. Because Hideo Kojima is overrated. Even if you like his games, all right? They are not what they proponed to be. That's just not what they are, and that's what bothers me so much. It's like every game he has is treated like the second coming, and they're just not that good. Even when they're good, they're not that good. You know what I mean?
Nobody's that good.
Nobody's that good. Nobody. I don't know. I don't like it. Moving on. Backdraft again. Jedi Survivor has big shoes to fill, but I am super excited. I never actually played Fallen Order. Did you play it at all, Fibley? I know you're a Star Wars guy.
No, I didn't. I know about it. I know what it brought to the franchise. I know it was a great game, but no, I did never play it just as a time thing and in that universe, the Jedi aren't my favorite part of the universe. Not that they're fine, but no, I didn't play that.
I was talking about that on one of the recent shows. I don't know if it's something that's coming out in the future or something that's already came out, but yeah, I think the game looks great. It's by a great company. I'm sure that both games will be great. I don't want any more Jedi games. I just don't. So that's going to keep me away from it. And, you know, whatever. I think we've got enough Jedi material out of that IP. I feel like we could go so many other places that we're not going, you know?
Yeah, I know a lot of that story and Star Killer and all that from literature too. So like, I read a lot of the Star Wars books, so I'm familiar with you know, Kyle Katarn, and that's who that is, right, Neil? Is that Katarn?
Cal, the main character?
It's Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis,
okay.
yeah.
Again, I know a lot about him, but
yeah, I got, I want to say 3 hours into the game. I'm not a Soulsy sort of dude, but it is very Soulsy. But it is it's baby's first Souls. Truly it is, because it actually adds difficulty modes. So if you like the format of that game, that like game style, but don't like the obscene difficulty, that's an option for you. Honestly, the biggest thing that I enjoyed from my time with it was how much it is like shot and presented like a movie in the series, like with the music, how the music swells at certain points. They do like the wipes across the screen whenever they like, you know, jump to certain places or whatever. I really like that. I never got to finish the game just because I just wound up falling off of it and, you know, grabbing other things, but I thoroughly enjoyed every bit that I played of it. Someday, whenever I get caught up on everything else, I want to go back to it.
All right. That brings us to William Ho, and here we go. Hi! Exclamation point. Kids, am I right? And man, only 2 hours for emergency. Here it's like 10. Anyway, hope it's behind you now. He then moves on. Street Fighter 6. Man, I wish I had time to get. get good in a fighting game. Tried Guilty Gear Strive, parenthesis, which was amazing, but it got very obvious to me I didn't have the time to really get into it and have fun. So, yes, Zach, enough roguelites. Oh man, I'm not saying anything right. Etc. Nothing against them, but gosh, we had so many in the past few years. I feel we're good for now. I'm really interested by the Dead Cells / Castlevania crossover. I know it won't happen, but I wish they would do a proper, non-randomized map for this DLC. We'll play it anyway, as I quite like Dead Cells already. Actually, Koei Tecmo already did a Monster Hunter-like game on the PS Vita, which is Tokiden, really. Quite an amazing game, too. So I'm very curious what they'll do with the new upcoming game. Everybody was confused with Bill Clinton, kids, but they still applauded. And you're right, it might have been staged. So for my off-topic this week, I want to shout out a new premium mobile game I've played, which is Afterplace. It's amazing. Took me 10 hours to beat and did it in like 2 sittings. I couldn't do anything else than play it. That's how good it is. It's a Zelda-like with some open world elements to it. It should be available on PC too at some point. Amazing game made by only one dude. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks for the show. Hashtag pink eye. You have no idea, Will. I might post pictures to Discord and totally ruin everybody's day.
Don't do that to people.
Okay, so in order, Will actually sent me pictures to prove this. I believe he lives in Canada, somewhere around Quebec, and the wait time in the emergency rooms are like 10 hours or something like that. Like it's crazy. And he was like,
universal healthcare system.
It is. It's absolutely insane how long they have to wait for that stuff. Which I was surprised it was that long. The Street Fighter 6, the Guilty Gear Strive, I'm the same way. Well, there's something about 2D fighting games that the skills have left me. I used to be able to do it when I was a kid. You know what? I couldn't do it as a kid. My brother could do it as a kid, and he just whooped the shit out of me until I found a cheap-ass character that I could, fucking...
Spam.
I've never been good at them, or 3D. It's the same thing, like, there's always someone who knows those button
the combos,
combinations just to basically lock you in place, and then it just ends up being me getting frustrated and quitting.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 came down to this in my household with my brother. My brother, who had mastered Ken from start to finish, ultimate 50-hit combos. If he got his hit off first, you're done. He's going to hit you with 72 Hadoukens and 37 Shurikens. But Vega has this sliding forward strong kick along the ground that if you hit them with it, they'll fall down. And then if you time it right, you could just keep hitting them as they get up with it. And then just corner trap them and slowly slide kick them to death. So what it came down to was if I hit him with the slide kick, I had him in the cheapest way humanly possible on the face of the fucking planet. If he punched me, he did this beautiful combo that made me weep a tear from my eye. So, that's what it came down to. So, I don't know. 2D fighting games are not for me. I was much better at Tekken, which is a 3D fighting game. Tekken was my jam. We'd actually have decent fights on that. But yeah, 2D fighting games I can't do, which is probably making Neil regret agreeing that he tag team with me if 6 has it.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'll carry you.
He will. He'll be carrying me the whole time.
See, here's the thing, though, is this is a little aside topic here, but I have very specific mains, and as it stands right now, the only one who's really been super confirmed is Chun-Li, and she's my backup.
Yeah, you can't play Bison, right? They didn't put Bison.
He's probably gonna. They'll probably have him show up as a DLC character later on. But
Making you pay for Bison, that's some bullshit.
Well, even still, if they decide to change him like they did in 5, I don't, because how they made him in 5 completely changed his style of play from what I used him for. So, yeah, it gets a little wonky there.
Then to move on, enough roguelikes. Yeah, guys, developers out there, we're done, man. We're good. We're at our full. They're not bad. Just this does not have to be the only thing you do. We could get some other genres in there, man. Like, I swear every day a new roguelike or roguelite is announced, and I'm done with that genre. I really am. Like, I mean, first of all, it's not going to be better than Hades, so give up. Just give it a breather. You know, give it a breather. And definitely stop pigeonholing licensed characters into that genre, like Hellboy. Give us a good Hellboy game by itself without making it a fucking roguelike or whatever.
Can I put a shitty plug for something in then?
Sure.
Since you're talking about this.
Sure.
Yeah, fuck roguelites. But if you like roguelikes, which I don't normally, but somebody made me try this game, and it's awesome, and it's made by one dude named Jordy, and it's called We Who Are About to Die. And the only reason I tried it was because it's a gladiator.
I own that game.
Roguelite. Do you?
Yeah.
Have you played it?
I can't play it with the mouse. I'm waiting for them to add the controller support. Like, I
it's
loved
so
it,
good.
but I could not make the mouse work for me, and I'm like, I gotta wait for controller support. And they said it's coming soon, like it's one of their first things they're trying to add.
I can't believe that was made by one guy.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
The game is awesome.
And I don't even like roguelites, but the way they have that game set up, the combat's awesome, and the build mechanics are just like crazy, and like they have like different currencies, you know, like you can get gold or you can get fame, and you can use them for different types of things, and like fame can
gain
buy
favor
you
with the coaches and stuff. Yeah.
Or buy you insight on what the next fight up is coming, so you can tweak your build to. Yeah, I was impressed.
That game is amazing. I will 100% agree with you. Like I said, I can't make that mouse combat, close combat system work. I need to wait for the controller system. Like, I loved what I played. I died so fast so many times that I'm like, I gotta wait for controller support. But they said they're gonna add it, so I didn't actually try and give it back. I still have it on my hard drive. I'm waiting for them to add the controller support. That game looks cool. I hope they add multiplayer too, because that would be fucking awesome in multiplayer.
Yeah, it would. But yeah, just a shout out to this one dude who made that.
Yeah.
If you're interested in like the gladiator style games, you might want to look into it. It's really cool.
It's very interesting. Very interesting game. I'm really interested in Dead Cells Castlevania crossover. Yeah, it looks good. I haven't played Dead Cells in a while, but that is something that would bring me back to it. They're definitely not going to do a non-randomized map for Dead Cells. But yeah, I've never heard of Tukiden for the Monster Hunter, but I am very excited for Wild Hearts. I still think
the fear with Wild Hearts
what
is I think I'll like it. Don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for it. But it just to me a little bit, it looks like someone was like, "Dude, we should do a monster game," and then his kid came in and screamed Fortnite, and they were like, "Yeah, let's combine those."
I mean,
with like, the building part of it, you know.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I will say the Fortnite building mechanics are actually really interesting. I'm kind of surprised nobody has implemented them really in anything else. You know what I mean? Like those speed building mechanics that they have there. So I am interested to see it. I think you're right, though. It's like, let's also add a Fortnite element. Like, and that was their, like, uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
Then we've got Bill Clinton staged. I still think it was staged. From what I understand, that kid was a professional troll, basically. It's coming out, so like I still think it was staged. Zelda, like this mobile game sounds really interesting. This Afterplace. I'm gonna see if it's on PC. Because I don't hate Zelda likes. It sounds good. All right, so let's move on to our final two comments. Both from Backdraft again. He was very chatty. Somebody's trying to earn a spot on that award council for next year. I will always.
I'm sure that's his motive.
Yeah, right. I will always play Remnant, Zach. I played the shit out of it. Backdraft, I wish I had known you back when I was playing the shit out of it. I could have used somebody to play with. And I wish it was still in Game Pass. If it is, I have to look. I don't think it is. I think it left it. But if I would definitely play it with you. Definitely. And then finally he says, yay, Wild Hearts. Looking forward to it, keeping Monster Hunter on its toes. Dauntless started that way, but quickly shit the bed. Then they kept getting more and more arcadey. My biggest problem with Dauntless was the skill gap between certain areas. There'd be a point where you'd get to where like the thing above you was so nearly impossible to beat until you somehow brute forced it or ended up going in with other higher level characters and let them do it. And then once you beat them, you could level up so there was nothing. But there would just be these huge steps. And I was like, why would you put these giant inaccessible walls in here? So yeah, that was my biggest problem with Dauntless, actually. All right, that's it for Fanteraction. So we're gonna what?
Remnant from the Ashes.
Is it on Game Pass? They had taken it off, but they might have added it back. I know they added a bunch back.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. Because when I search for Remnant on here, it says Remnant from the Ashes now available on Game Pass. And you look at the timestamp, it's December 8th, 22. So then you go in and actually click on it, and it shows that it's on Game Pass, but it shows from when it was put on May 14th, 21.
I just checked it on my Game Pass on my computer. You can purchase it through Hold on.
Jesus.
This cough is killing me. You can purchase it through Microsoft if you have Game Pass for $15.99. But it's normally $40. So it is not currently in Game Pass. Although if you have Game Pass, it's still a pretty cheap price to pick it up.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of game.
Again, might be something I buy permanently. Just gotta wait till I get through that holiday season. Alright, let's wrap up Fantraction. We will move into our year in review.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our talking point. This is the year in review show 2022. What did it do for us? Did we like it? Did we hate it? What were our upsides? What were our downsides? We really didn't talk about how we're going to do this between takes.
No, we didn't.
I come to realize now.
Let's do thing.
So how do we want to do this? Do we want to just start pointing stuff out? How about this? We'll go round robin. Somebody will point out something they either liked or disliked, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Sound good? Phil, something you liked, something you didn't like.
I'm gonna be probably pretty negative on this panel for this year.
I've got some positive.
Not much came out in my style of game this year. Like, I mean, I love that, Elden Ring came out and blew the world away. So, I mean, there's a positive, but again, I didn't even play it. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. It just isn't necessarily my type of game. Right. So I spent a lot of time going back to games that released in like 2020, 2021. Like I spent the majority of my time this year on Divinity Original Sin 2. Sunk a ton of hours to get to end game on that, and I loved every second of it. So I mean, I enjoyed myself, but it wasn't because of the games that came out in 2022. And I'm still. This is what bothers me is I'm still playing Warzone a lot, and I don't even think Warzone's that great. Like, I mean, it's good for what it is, but I don't want to be playing it. It's just I do enjoy playing games with, especially Filthy Phil. He's who I play the most with, and nothing came out that stuck this year. We got a little bit of a reprieve with Tiny Tina's, but then when we got to Endgame, like they handled that game so poorly, and it became not fun. So like it only took us away from Warzone for like a month. So, and he's not into CRPGs, so that's just what I play by myself. So, yeah, it was kind of a negative year for me. Nothing drug me in. Even in our awards show, like there was nothing I was seriously pushing for to win or super excited about. Sadly, there were just a few games I was just rooting against. Like, and yeah, I mean, I'll start with just the overview from me.
I think that on some points I really agree with you, and some others I don't. But again, our tastes are different. I think there were some games that really released to satiate my appetite, but there was a lot of like spaces. I remember where there was just nothing. You know what I mean? Even when you'd have the good games, there was just still these huge swaths of time where you had nothing. And we had a lot of delays this year.
Yeah, that's actually, you guys both perfectly combined what my biggest takeaway from the year is if everything that was supposed to come out this year came out this year. I think we even talked about it on our anticipation show
of last year.
Year was this year was supposed to be like the fucking tits, man. Like it was supposed to have all the things like heavy hitter after heavy hitter, and then we have all those big open stretches where we didn't have anything from all these different games that got delayed, or they were originally within this window, but now they got pushed back. So this year was fine, but this year almost served to tee up next year. But at the same time, the stuff that we have coming next year that was supposed to be out this year is the only real major stuff to look forward to. So I almost feel like
this year was a Cleveland Browns fan to a T.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's
it's gonna be great. We're going Super Bowl, and next year comes around and it sucks.
Yeah.
We make excuses.
What's weird?
We're good for a rebuilding year. That's what it is. Is we get a year that we can rebuild and we'll be good to go. And that's what this next year is gonna be, is the fruits of that. But like
but
you
is
mentioned,
it? Can we even trust them at this point?
Yeah, that's hopefully.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems. Is Brown fans at least have that faith that like next year's going to be the year. I don't have that faith anymore. Like I had that faith still at least a little bit last year, and this year was not nearly as bad for me as it was for you guys. I think just because again there were a few titles that were made specifically for me that came out and were great. But again, like you have all these delays, and now 2023 is literally like all the games that were supposed to come out this year, and that's it. There's a bunch of other stuff that was announced at the Game Awards for 2023, but how do we trust that after what happened last year? You know, like every one of those, I'm like, 2024 at least. 2024 at least, you know? So like I don't trust any of those. I'm gonna go a little bit positive since you guys have both kind of gone negative on this one, which is totally fine. I understand that. I'm not arguing with it. But there were some very specific niche games that had quality. I felt like this year was a year for indie developers. Sifu was a huge success. I'm never going to stop talking about it. Anybody who just went, he's going to talk about Sifu again, I mean, you should get a different podcast because I'm going to be talking about Sifu for probably the rest of my life. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, huge, kick-ass, awesome game came out this year. And there were a lot of these kind of like indie titles that like really showed up for me that really made me love them. There were a couple of mainstream titles. This year actually had Kirby and the Forgotten Realms, and I know I am a 41-year-old man about to sing the praise of a child's game, but it's a really good game. It just is. It has some really cool moments in it. It really surprised me, and maybe some of my love from it comes from the fact that I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and I just didn't have anything to play at the time, and it just kind of blew me away. But still, that in itself was kind of enough to like really bring me in. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
And you got Sonic, which you enjoyed.
Sonic. That was another. You read my mind. That was another one I was about to point out. Another huge positive is Sonic Frontiers. We finally have a good Sonic game. A good 3D Sonic game, at least a decent one, and that's huge. It has sold 2.5 million copies now. It is considered a success. It has a roadmap. I'm super excited about the future of Sonic, and I haven't been excited for the future of Sonic since I was 20. Like, it's kind of crazy that we finally got that. I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna die before a good 3D Sonic game came out. So I don't know. That's my positive. My positive there. I think maybe we should go back to Phil.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback off
Sure.
of like what I noticed about what you said was, if you guys have been watching this show for a long time, you may remember that I've talked about like I didn't get into gaming until I was much older. I just didn't have access to it really when I was a kid, other than at friends' house. So think about what you said is like all the games you pointed out, they are games that either tugged on your reminiscing like strings from childhood, stuff like Kirby, stuff like Sonic.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why those things don't hit for me like they might for you or Neil, because I don't have that memories of playing those really, that I was so fond of that I was excited about them. And then even kind of still with the other things you mentioned are like brawlers or fight. Yeah, they're both brawlers, right? With Teenage Mutant. What is TMNT? Is that
there's
a brawler?
a brawler. Yeah, it's a brawler.
Yeah, because it's like a side-scrolling 2D brawler as opposed to your other one, which is a 3D brawler. So like, if those types of games were up your alley, then yeah, your experience might be completely different than mine, who my gaming I almost said career, it's not a career, my gaming interest didn't really develop until I was more in that adult phase. And it's not to say those games are childish, it's just I'm sure you guys can both agree that if you looked at it having never seen those things as an adult, they wouldn't pique your interest without that the memories that came before, I'm sure.
Unless you're invested in Sonic, you're not going to like be really excited about a Sonic game that's good.
Yeah. So I just feel like that's where this year kind of dropped the ball a little bit for me. It was just the more, I don't know if you want to call it mature or like the different genres didn't feel as heavily represented.
Well, and I definitely have some negatives that I haven't even gotten to. I just wanted to start positive first. There were some, some good ones.
Wasn't to dig on
No.
I was just pointing out what...
Yeah. It definitely, like, if you're not in... That was one of the things, is if you're not into those niche games, it wasn't going to do anything for you, you know? Yeah. Neil.
So, I actually, the positive on this end. This year, I feel like was a year of more of a couch co-op-y sort of resurgence to some degree. I wouldn't say it was like every game has that couch co-op, but at least in my own personal life,
at least half the games I named had couch co-op. So
right,
yeah, I know what you mean.
it's definitely something that is like being reconsidered, because there was a weird period of time, I want to say back in like 2015. A lot of developers were like, "Oh, well, we just can't do it," and like they didn't even try to implement, split screen couch co-op-y sort of stuff. And if they did, it was very stilted.
Yeah.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands played through entirely co-op on the couch. Did not play that game solo. I don't even know what the menus look like playing solo. And then like my wife and I playing Stardew Valley. Even though that game came out forever ago. Like you'd mentioned, TMNT. Stuff like that, like the couch
even
co-op.
Kirby had couch co-op.
Kirby had couch co-op. They're finding ways to put couch co-op back in games, and I really appreciate that. And it doesn't have to be like it used to be, where all 4 players can team up, yada yada yada, this, that, and the other. I just need one other person, because while online does solve a lot of that sort of stuff, you do have some situations to where, you want to do local split screen. It's, if you were to play with that same person using the online format, it wouldn't feel the same.
Right.
So like we have 2 Xboxes, 2 TVs. My wife and I could very easily both boot up a game.
It's not as
and
fun.
Have right, and like we
I
drag
agree.
a TV upstairs. I sit on the floor and play on one while she's got the one on the wall, and we just kind of talk to each other the whole time. It doesn't feel the same.
Yeah.
Or if I had it down in the basement here where the TV's currently hooked up in the bar. Like if I were to play down here and her upstairs, even though she's upstairs, we're still talking on voice chat. We're not actively in the room with each other. It just doesn't hit the same. And I'm glad that that's now becoming a consideration again, is the split screen, that focus on playing games with somebody in person.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah, I understand that. I wish my wife was into any of that. I might get to do it, but she's not a gamer.
I drag Melissa into it with Prelude, and it gets hard sometimes to find games that we can play together. So I kind of understand that. I will say, though, my first big negative is one of your positives, and I again have nothing against you loving this game and this experience for you and your wife, but Borderlands kind of died for me this year. I think Philbilly is going to echo that. It was a kind of a surreal experience, because Borderlands as a series has been part of my life for like, I think actually longer than I've been married to my wife. So this year I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to play a Borderlands again after Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and getting to the end. And that was really sad for me, because I think the game's presentation was good. I think it also spoke to a much more casual fan base, which probably brought more people in initially. But I think they kind of did their hardcore fans dirty on that one. And the hardcore fans are what gives the game longevity. So I don't know. And I'm more on the hardcore side than the casual side for it. So I just don't think I'm ever going to purchase a Borderlands game again.
To echo that really killed me. Because as I just said, I got into gaming like later in life. Borderlands 1 was the reason I bought an Xbox. That was the only reason I bought a system at all, was to play that game. So that was the franchise that really brought me
Mario,
into gaming.
Man. Yeah.
So I basically watched that franchise confirm its death, in my opinion, in front of my own eyes, and I think that's why I hate that game more than it deserves the hate that I give it.
Right.
Like, I just see that company as they're not staying true to what Borderlands was, and it's just proven itself that it's just not for me anymore, and it kind of as dumb as it sounds, like it kind of hurts that I have to say that I don't know if I'll buy a Borderlands 4 if Borderlands 4 comes out, because like 3 was like, I bitched about it, but at least I could look back and be like, I still played it for like a year solid. But 2 I played for like 5 years solid. And then and Tiny Tina's, I played it for like, me and Phil probably played it for maybe 2 months, and then we were done. We're like, it's over.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucked.
What sucks too is it had such good ideas that could have made it better, and they just, the way they did the ending, the way they did the end game, and the way it came about in the end is just, I don't know. And like I said, I felt like you're gonna feel more betrayal, just like I do, because we're more hardcore fans. Like you're way more hardcore than I ever was, but we're more on the hardcore side than like Neil or Kayla, and I think that's just it's a bummer,
I was good at that game.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, it's that one game, like I could have. I did challenges and stuff. If you go back and look at some of the builds in Borderlands 3 that I did, I was time slotting with some of like the quote unquote pro gamers, like on as far as like beating the raids and stuff. Like I was very good at it, and it not only the end game, but the way that Gearbox started doing it's buffing and nerfing all the time, and taking a build that I'd make and then flushing it down the toilet over and over. Like I can take that so much before. It's like, that's not how that needs to be handled.
I agree.
You can balance. Number one, play your game first. Like, have the game 90% fleshed out before it's released, so that way you don't have to do that to the extent that they've been doing in their past 2 games. And number 2, like, you don't have to nerf so much in a game like Borderlands where it's PvE.
Right.
Like it's not a competitive shooter where one gun's broken. You have so many other options. You can change the damage taken by enemies. You can do a lot of other things than just, and then they always go like, if a gun's too good, they just make it useless.
Yeah.
They don't tweak. They kill them. They kill whatever they're balancing, quote unquote, and it just kind of stinks.
Yeah, I agree. So back to you, Neil. What's your next thing? Positive or negative?
And we'll go back to the negative.
Okay.
I feel like this past year, the meta narrative of gaming as a whole superseded the games.
Yeah.
Everything.
What do you mean? Because I'm not following.
So this year,
like the Activision fucking suit and all that shit.
Scandals, deals, acquisitions, scandals with developers, the business end of things.
I bet if you went onto IGN and you counted the news stories resulting to gaming as a whole, as opposed to their reviews, there'd be more stories about gaming as a whole than the reviews.
Yeah, it's all about like the overall meta of the games. I mean, you've got everything from like the actual developers to the companies as a result of, and the collective dick waving between Sony and Microsoft, the whole Helena Taylor voice acting thing. Like there are so many things that happened this past year.
Apple and Epic
continued. Apple and Epic, it gets in the way of
Hideo Kojima just walking around.
Hideo just existing in space. Well, I mean, even that, like, we are continuing the same stories that have been running forever, like Hideo Kojima, like that whole thing, like, oh, my most bestest friend Hideo Kojima, who wasn't allowed to accept his award because he was fighting with Konami like 4 years ago, man. Like, all of this stuff, it's getting to the point that the overall things happening around the industry are starting to get in the way of the actual games themselves.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, maybe it's because Activision may have been different back then, but like when something like Diablo 2 came out, oh wow, this game is so good, look how it plays, look how it feels, that's all it is. Diablo 4 or like Diablo Immortal, oh my god, have you heard what Activision's been doing, blah blah blah. Like, at the end of the day, there are people who are working on these games and trying to make these games great. I think sometimes, even us sometimes, get a little bit distracted by the overall, like, the happenings within the industries. And I know myself, I lose sight sometimes that there are people who have nothing to do with anything that we're talking about, who are just going in every single day and pouring their entire being into making these games. And to have that creation by that people or team of individuals be overshadowed by some prick in a suit going out there and saying some more stupid shit. That's one of the main takeaways of this year. I feel like more so than other years.
I 100% agree with that. I feel like every game announcement that we've had has somehow been related to like, the Activision sale or Bethesda sale or sexual harassment or like crazy shit that like it's like we can't just talk about the games anymore. We're constantly talking about the meta, the legal shit, all that stuff that's going into this, and I completely agree with you. It is from a guy who has covered this for going on 4 years now. It's exhausting. It's not what it was 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago, you could just talk about the games. We can't talk about the games anymore. Every other show is some weird shit going on that like has nothing to do with a new video game or a new announcement, and it is very annoying and frustrating. And I'm glad you said something, because it's just ridiculous, especially when then you look at all these games getting delayed. It's like, when the games get delayed out of the year, the only thing you have to talk about is this insane legal shit.
It has showed me too that like to start paying more attention to the indie side of things because of all that. Because like even like I was thinking about this earlier actually. It was like how everybody has adopted or is adopting the $70 model. Yeah. It's just making like games aren't coming out good enough for me to be like, okay, I get it. Yeah. So, and games aren't just that $70 anymore. Like, there's very rarely is there a game that comes out that they don't expect you to, down the line, if you like that game, to try to squeeze more money out of you, whether it be with a battle pass, whether it be with DLC, whether it be, and they're locking things behind DLC that I don't consider to be typical DLC, acceptable DLC items. You know what I mean? Like, DLC used to be an add-on to a game. To me, like, it was like you beat the game, and they added 15 hours more content, and you paid $12 to unlock that, and it kind of like, I was kind of cool with it. But DLC wasn't just like, oh, you get more skins and a character that probably should have been there from the beginning, and you pay $25 on top of a game that now you're paying $70 for. It's just, the AAA market is becoming such a gamble that, and it's not blackjack anymore where you have a 50-50. Now it's like, I don't know, like, what's it, game that has shitty odds, you know, like
Roulette.
A slot machine.
it's a slot.
It's a
perfect.
slot machine.
It's a slot machine now, and it's like, at what point, like, if games were coming out in a decent state, I wouldn't be like, oh, this price hike is awful, you know. I'd probably be like, oh, I get it, you know, people are working on it, but at least I'm paying this money. I know I'm gonna get what I want. It's gonna be good, but it's like the weird industry. You don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only thing. Like, if I go to a store and I buy a product, maybe that product isn't made well, but I can return it. And you guys have talked about this. I'm not saying anything new, but it was just, you know, I listened to something about the price hike, and I was like, you know, this sucks.
Well, and what's
So
worse
I
is
pay more attention to the indies. Plus, the reason the indies are becoming so big, I was thinking about that too, is they're not beholden to investors, so they're
Exactly.
doing more things where they're making more, taking more risks.
Yep.
Pushing genres forward, where these AAA games that can make the good game because they have the money to, they got to play it safe because they have to show their investors, like, hey, this model worked in the past and we're just going
gotta
to keep
do it.
beating the dead horse and do it again.
Well, and
And-
that's my thing. When they priced hike priced it to $70, I'm like, what, $70? I mean, what comes out anymore for AAA games? They're all ideas of games. We barely ever see them. They get delayed and delayed and delayed. We get 4 of them a year. Half of them are Nintendo products, and then they all go on sale like 30 days later because they're so buggy nobody wants to buy them. So like the AAA market is just in shreds in my opinion. I think the indie market is where it's at, especially when they can make solid, like you look at like a Plague Tale Requiem, that's a fucking indie game. It's got a AAA look to it, you know? And I don't know, I just feel like what happens is these AA studios eventually get bought up by like a AAA studio, and then they're like, just make that game forever.
Yeah.
I think you may have either just been getting into gaming when this happened, but there was that period of time that Capcom caught like the most shit.
Yeah.
And had all of their DLC for all of their games on disc already.
Yep.
So they had already previously developed it and had it all done, set, and ready to go. And what you paid for the DLC was literally like a 100 kilobyte download that took a fraction of a second to just take a digital barrier out of the way for you to access it. That there was like when we were really starting to see like, okay, this is getting like, that was like the impetus of like the loot boxes and stuff like that. When that really started to be a thing, it was like Dead Space 3. You could start just buying ammunition because reasons.
Right.
And then like you'd mentioned about like the $70 price tag for games. While I have purchased now 2 $70 games, both of those games are literally the same exact version as the $60 one, but they're just a little prettier.
Yep.
That is it. That extra $10 hasn't yielded us literally anything at all other than just like, yeah, it looks okay. It looks a little bit better.
Because they're all playable on the old systems.
Yeah.
Correct.
And what is, think about this too. What is that $10 price hike for? Gaming is becoming, honestly, it's cheaper to make because 87% of sales are digital now. So now these companies, they could actually just not release physical media if they wanted to. It wouldn't hurt their bottom line. Not really. Not in this space. So they could save all the money on the disc itself. I know that's not a ton, but it does make a difference.
It does.
And formatting for the disc, which does cost a lot of money. So just stop making disc. If 87% of your sales are digital, just say, hey guys, we don't sell physical media anymore. I know that sucks. I don't like it either. Because we talked about, do you own anything anymore? And I get it, but it's not changing, let's face it.
Well, and even when
So-
you buy a physical copy, you need a day one patch to even play the fucking game.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you don't own it anyway. I'll say this.
Shut your physical copy down at any times if
Right.
it's running on a server. So
Right.
do you even own that?
Right.
You own a piece of plastic disc. Like, okay.
I think the other thing is you don't even need to get rid of those physical copies. Gaming makes more money than TV, movies, and music combined as an industry. It is the highest grossing industry on possibly the planet. You don't need more money. You don't need more money. The fact that they keep telling us they do, especially when Microsoft said it, like, well, we need to raise the price. I'm like, you need to raise the price, Mr. 69 billion for Activision? Like, you don't need to raise shit. You're Microsoft. I think that, like, it's all bullshit. It's all a way to drive you to something else, and to just squeeze more money out of you as a consumer. And personally, I mean, you're right. I don't think I've played that many AAA games this year. I mean, I think Tiny Tina's Wonderlands was the only AAA game I played. Kirby, I guess. But Nintendo's kind of a whole different bag.
Yeah.
I think that, like... and Sonic. Sonic's technically a AAA. Sonic. It's Sonic. So, all right. Well, we're at 58 minutes. We should probably start wrapping this segment up. I'm going to go to each person. Just final thoughts on the year. Phil.
My biggest highlight, I got Weird West. That was good.
It's a good game.
Yeah, overall, it just for me, the year didn't pan out like a lot. If you look back to a lot of games I was excited for on the last year's, they just didn't come out.
Yeah.
I have a lot to look forward to. At least one of them that I'm very excited for in Baldur's Gate. I guess I can never be 100% anything, but I'm very confident that will actually come out, and I'm confident it'll be a good game. I trust the developer on that one. And that's from someone like, I'm not a Baldur's fan necessarily. I've never played 1 or 2, but I've played the open, or the what do you call it? Not open beta.
Early access.
Early access, and I love it. So at least I have that to look forward to. And now that I have, if nothing else, this year has taught me to pay more attention to indie, and now I know how to pay attention to indie, which was part of my problem before. I never really understood how to even find out about those things. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, I'm still playing games that aren't like Warzone, which it's not a bad game, but I don't play it because I love the game.
Right.
I play it because I love playing with the people I play with.
Right.
And it's kind of unfortunate for me that is, that's my reasoning for playing something. I wish it was that I playing the people I play with.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Neil, your thoughts on 2022. Wrap it up.
2022, I think if I were to give it a letter grade, I'd give it maybe a C+. It wasn't a nightmare. It wasn't an absolute shit show. But it had promised to be more than what it was. If it were my child, I would tell it I wasn't mad. I was just disappointed. Because I know what it was going to be and what it had the potential to be.
Right.
Which is why I'm really looking more positively towards 2023 because of what 2022 was supposed to be. I mean, we did still get things, at least myself personally, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, that I'm still playing through, and it is the new things in that game. There's just more. There's more new things that I wasn't even anticipating. Like I had mentioned to you before, about the whole you take over Atreus. You can play as Atreus in certain segments, and he's actually designed to be like that. And now, I guess, very light spoilers for anybody who might be playing through it. Freya joins your party now too. You get a party. So God of War is now like evolving into this newer thing, this newer idea of what that sort of genre can be. So it's giving me hope that there are still some games out there like Horizon Forbidden West where you still get that copy paste of, hey, this is more of a good thing, but just don't overdo it, which is what it seems like they're going to do, but that's a separate thing. And then we have things like God of War that are an evolution of what was already good. I had experiences, shared experiences playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. As much as it may have been a disappointment for you guys, like we had mentioned, I was not a hardcore player of that game. So when we finished,
nothing wrong with enjoying a game, man. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it was solid for me. But like we never did any of the end game stuff, anything like that. And then even stuff like games that have staying power that are still relevant, even though like Stardew Valley came out a while ago. That community is still crazy strong, even now here today. 2022 was overall an okay year. I just wanted it to be what it was expected to be. But as we had talked about, I don't think it's necessarily we can trust anything when it comes to anticipations for games and releases anymore.
I'll keep it short and sweet. If I were to give a letter grade, I would have to do it in 2s. I couldn't give just one letter grade to the whole thing. I would actually say that the releases were probably a B- for me, but that's only specifically to me. I understand why everybody else is lower. It was kind of like a centered on me sort of year. But if I were to give it to the meta as a whole, I give them F and possibly expel them. The amount of bullshit we had as in the background was just unforgivable. I mean, and stuff that like people should go to jail for, like really terrible shit that just overshadowed every game release and everything. The AAA market has like crumbled in my opinion to some extent. I know that like they're probably still making money, but nothing really comes out. Everything's an idea of a game. Everything gets released years and years after it's supposed to get released, and it never gets released in the form or function that they promise. Even games that like I'm legitimately excited about, like Skull and Bones, now is delayed again after fucking 10 years. You have all the Activision shit. You have all of the Bethesda shit. You have all this just terrible, terrible shit going on. And it bothers me. I mean, what is the AAA market right now? What is it? Like, what games has anybody played that's like a AAA game? I mean, yes, Neil, God of War and Horizon Forbidden West, sure. However, I would point out that at least Forbidden West, they're relatively new in that AAA department. I would say they're AA before Horizon Forbidden West hit, So, like, they have still plenty of time to become corrupt and evil. I think that, like, we just have such a dark and evil shadow over gaming right now. If there's anything I'm hoping for in 2023, it's that maybe some light shines through and we start to maybe center our focus on more of these indie games and maybe let the AAA market die a little bit. I mean, AA can do just about whatever we need them to do right now anyway.
We see one-person developer games doing good jobs.
With decent graphics. Do we need those amazing Forspoken graphics? No, we don't. We just need good games. And we need those good games to not be made by people who rape people for shit sakes. Yeah, like just terrible, awful human beings. So yeah, that's where I'm at for this year. I think 2022, anything good that came out of it, Sifu, Kirby, Sonic, was just covered in shit, just terrible, sad shit. So hopefully 2023 is a better year, guys. Sorry to end on a more negative note, but we're gonna go to we're gonna take a little break and be back with odds and ends.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to odds and ends. This is our last segment. This is where we collect smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve a full talking point, just things we want to riff on, tell you about, whatever. I have 4. Neil has 1, which is a rare occurrence. So I'm going to start us off. Witcher 3 has gotten a next-gen upgrade.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's fucking up PCs all over the place. Good job, CDPR.
no.
Good job, CDPR.
God.
You're keeping it rolling, man. Keeping it rolling. And just again, to everybody out there who keeps giving them a pass, this is what you get. This is what you get. I don't even feel sorry for you anymore. Well, I guess I'll just go with my next one then, because you have 1. I don't know when you want to do your 1.
Oh, I'll just do mine last because it's a fucking doozy.
Oh, God damn it. All right, my second one is, Blue Protocol. This is not one that Neil is going to know anything about. It's an MMO. It's kind of an anime cel-shaded thing. It is finally coming to the United States via Amazon Gaming. We talked about it a little bit.
Oh, it was at the Game
during
Awards.
the Game Awards, because that's where it was announced. But some information is coming out about it. One of the things that is really strange is it has some pay-to-win mechanics. Well, it's not PvP, though. There's no PvP elements. It's PvE, which means you can, like, buy...
Assuming he's coughing.
Yeah, I had him cough. Sorry, everybody. Can't stop coughing for some reason.
Just dying a little bit. That's all.
All right.
It's worse because we can't see him, so it's
Right.
I know.
It just goes silent, like somebody just like bum rushed in the house and just snatched him up. We would never know.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So what you could do is you can actually pay for these tickets that allow you to complete quests as soon as you get them. So you get all the experience and rewards from it without actually doing it, which is very strange. I saw this in an Eric's video covering it, because Eric's has been covering it for a while. And they even said, like, why would you do this? Like, this is the game. It's kind of like back when Ubisoft put that in for Odyssey, where you could just pay an extra $10 and start at level 50. Very strange mechanic. Why would you want to pay your way out of playing the game? I don't know. I mean, MMOs can get grindy, but it's still a little ridiculous.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, now that I've played some MMOs, I get why you would want to, but I think if that's how you look at it, then maybe that's when you realize that MMOs just aren't
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I came to that realization, and I get how that could, even though it's not a PvP. That's why pay to win still sucks even in PvE, because if you play with a group of buddies and you're the guy who didn't pay for it, it's almost worse, because you're not competing, but you just feel like the asshole who's getting dragged along. And like, I've been that low level guy in MMOs, in dungeons or raids with the guys that either paid something or just had way more time to play than me, and it is not fun getting carried through.
Can I just say,
at the end of those, everyone's like talking about how sweet the fight was, and you're like, yeah, I stood in the corner and threw healing spells or whatever. Like,
not to go on a side tangent, but one of the things that keeps me out of MMOs almost permanently is the fact that, like, I don't have as much time as some of my other friends do to play these games. So when you have a level-based system, like an RPG level-based system, without level scaling whatsoever, they play for like 4 more hours than me every day, and I'm done. I can't keep up with them. I think that, like, one of my biggest problems with MMOs, and again, Borderlands not my favorite thing. Level scaling from Borderlands 3, fucking amazing. I could jump in with Philbilly and Filthy Phil anytime and not just get my ass whooped and actually help because of the level scaling. All of these games need level scaling, and like, that's something that keeps me out of it. Like games like this, because like I won't be able to stay with them. I won't be able to play with them, and then all of a sudden I can't do anything, you know? Like, I can't, and then I'm out, you know? I don't want to do it anymore.
That was a friend of mine back when Borderlands 2 came out. That's where I jumped into the series. And he basically had me get it because, you know, he had it and he and another friend of mine were playing it constantly. But that was the thing, is I never played with them because they were already like, when I started, they were already like level 17. And it's like, all right, well, they were like, well, just kind of hang out, you know, just hang out. You'll level really fast. I'm like, but I can't do anything.
Right.
Because if I get any aggro at all, I get sneezed on and you just go down. And there's nothing you can do. And of course, when you go down, you can't get your second wind because you can't actually do anything unless somebody basically destroys something for you. Yeah, or picks you up. So, yeah, and that was the thing, is I just never like played. And it was like, oh, well, you can go grind on your own, which is fine, but I got the game to play with somebody not to play on my own.
All right, my next one. This is kind of a weird one for me. It makes me very leery about the game in some ways. I love Remnant from Ashes, but Remnant 2 is actually going to be published by Gearbox. So I believe the studio is staying independent. I don't think they're going to end up owned by Gearbox and then vis-a-vis Embracer Group. But nonetheless, Gearbox has done some things lately that I don't love. I do not want to see a Borderlands-y Remnant 2. I just don't.
I agree with that sentiment. Hopefully they don't get their hands too deep into the game itself and they just stay an outside publisher.
Yeah, just put your money into advertisement for them and help them there. Stay away from them designing. Let them design their game. All right, so my last one. I hope this one isn't the one that I'm stealing from you, but apparently Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed yet again, ladies and gentlemen. Yet again. A short delay this time. It is being delayed from the original date of February 10th of 2023 to April 4th of 2023. So yeah,
I think that was the previous gen versions that got delayed.
That's all of them. And then the Switch one, the Switch one is even farther back, and they haven't announced when it's going to be.
Yeah.
So it's all coming out on April 4th.
Sure it is.
Yeah, sure it is. Right. Right. Well, supposedly.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but that's not the one you stole from me. This one. So, I mean, we did our prediction show, and it's starting to seem like I'm getting teed up pretty well for next year. This time, there's apparently rumors floating around that the hardware revamp of the PlayStation 5 is in developers' hands, with announcements set to be made in 23, with the discontinuation of the manufacturer of the current disc and discless models of PlayStation 5 by the end of the year.
You know what, Neil? I'm going to tell you right now. If I were you, I would stop playing your PlayStation 5 that you have. I'd put that motherfucker in a sealed box, and then I'd wait for this revision to come out and buy that, because that PlayStation 5 that you have is going to be so fucking rare, because they never even made enough for everybody to have. And now they're already going to discontinue it. That thing is going to be a collector's item in like 10 years.
Oh, I still have the box up on the shelf.
I'd put that right in a box. Yeah. I'd laminate that shit. I'd just like shrink wrap that shit. I'd be like, nope, nobody touch that. Do not open till 2036. And then let's sell it on eBay. I think that like this was one that when you predicted it, I was like, I 100% see that happening. I 100% see that coming. Sony PlayStation, and this is a weakness, guys, not a strength. Sony PlayStation has a playbook. They've had a playbook since 2010. They run the same play every time. Every time. It does not matter what's happening. Oh, pandemic, who cares? This is when it's releasing. People haven't been able to get it. Doesn't matter. new gen. We're already working on 6. They run the same playbook. They have no variation. They have no, like, ad lib. They have no versatility. And it's a real problem for them because this is going to hurt them in the long run. I don't think anybody is going to be happy to hear about a revised PlayStation 5, basically 6 months after they were able to get the first one. And I don't think anybody is really going to be excited about a PlayStation 6 2 years later.
We're still calling a 2-year-old system next gen.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is a massive distinction. Like, the fact that it is such an oddity and that we haven't really gotten into this generation proper yet. Sure, the generation's been going for 2 years at this point. But this holiday season is the first one that people are, in some relative terms, able to actually find these consoles to some degree.
Yeah.
Not to, only have one on a shelf and have to fight to the literal death to get the last and single one and only one of these consoles. And the fact that we are already talking about a hardware revision. I mean, technically, they've already done a hardware revision by changing the heat sink already in the manufacturer. But this one here, from the article that I was reading about it, is they're apparently looking at a detachable disk drive. For whatever reason, I don't know why you would have a PS5 that would have the option to play discs or not.
That's
You
weird.
would think that it would be a disc version only if that were the case.
Why would you have what possible purpose could you have to detach the disk drive?
Exactly.
Like, after the fact.
You think this is like a step? Because I think like the next systems won't have discs at all, and what they'll do is they'll sell the system. They won't even talk about the disc, and then if you're that 13% that still buys physical media, you'll have to go and buy this add-on that plugs in via USB or something.
Yeah, I think they might be priming for something like that. Because I had mentioned before we were talking about this, I feel like the next generation versions of these consoles, we're going to be the last one where the disc drive is a thing. The
I don't
fact
think
that
it'll
we
even have them.
Yeah, I mean, it is a real possibility. I know that when that switch gets flipped and they're strictly digital, it's going to be a huge uproar one way or another. But I feel like this generation here is the introduction of the idea of, hey, so you can have the people who just do discs and that's it, or like disc and digital, here you go, here's your console, or the digital only folks, here's your console over here. They're slowly priming us.
Yeah, they definitely are.
That inevitability.
I mean,
We've even... Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying we've even seen some companies do it, and I think it'll become the norm of like when you buy the box set for $195.
And it doesn't even have the game.
It won't have the game. Like, they'll just be printing empty boxes, and there won't be an option for the physical media inside of them. It'll be for the collectors who have those bookshelves that they have lined up all their collection on.
Yeah, you're definitely on a roll, though, Neil. I'll give you that. You're looking good right now. All right. Well, that's it for odds and ends, unless anybody else has anything else to say.
Nope.
All right, let's plug this up, guys. We'll be right back.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of this show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. However, before I give my our fine guest and my co-host a chance to plug, I do want to just disclaimer really quickly. This is the last recorded episode on time of the podcast in 2022. Next week, the week of Christmas, the Horrible Game Awards are here. Please check those out. We put untold hours of work into it. Then the week after that, the week directly after New Year's, will be our most anticipated games of 2023, which we pre-recorded. So we are actually off for recording for the next 2 weeks. We will then be back actually recording the week after that. That does not mean don't leave your comments. Leave as many comments as you want on whatever you want to comment on. That will be 3 shows of comments, but I will read them all out. We'll have a big-ass fan interaction on that first show. So please comment away. I just want to let you know it will be a little while before you hear them because we have pre-recorded everything for the rest of the year. Now, with that said, let's go to our guest, the third member of the Triforce, Mr. Philbilly330. Anything special you want to plug, sir?
Not too much. I do want to say to everyone, have a good Merry Christmas and have a good New Year's, and enjoy the time, with your friends and family and situation you guys have going on, and hopefully you guys will have a good time without any bad event news coming out. So I hope everyone enjoys that. And then as I will slip back into irrelevancy for a while, I'm sure, I hope to keep my self going in the new year with some streaming. Like I said, some Warzone, some Wildermyth with Zach, and we'll see when some of these other games release. But yeah, I hope to do some more streaming in 2023 than I was able to do in 22. It was a little bit of a busy, crazy year for us. So yeah, that's about it, guys.
New baby, new house. What's more crazy than all that? I'm excited to play Wildermyth with you. I downloaded a bunch of mods for it, so I'm kind of excited. God damn it, Neil Gulp.
Well, while Zach is dying here, I also would like to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a Happy New Year. Every single time at this point of the year, we always thank everybody for listening, letting us do this, and really cannot wait for getting back on the grind of the usual things in the new year, back with UHW and streams and everything like that. But after this, I feel like we are all also going to enjoy some time off here to actually enjoy the holidays with our families and friends. And I hope you all do the same.
Yes, I want to echo both of those statements. UHW will be returning in the new year, and we've got a new player coming. Continued collab with Wizards Respite. He's actually decided to jump into the game, so I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
Oh.
So we're going to have another player who knows nothing about wrestling, so I will have to continue to call everything. But that being said, I do want to echo Neil's statement. Listen, guys, as we come to close on another year, I personally have been doing this almost 4 years. Neil, almost 3. Philbilly, almost 3 right alongside. We do this based on your goodwill, your views, and we continue to do this for you guys. I've said it before that we're always working for the partnership program, but I honestly don't think I am anymore. I think I'm just working to entertain you guys and the people who enjoy us. Even if we somehow broke big, I think I'd just do a Patreon. I don't even think I'd go into it because I like the freedom to just speak my mind. And I love you guys. Like, you guys as a community. William Holman, Backdraft, Asylum, Danny Wharton, Jason, Filthy Phil, anybody who I haven't mentioned, Bloody Nose, anybody who I haven't mentioned, you guys are absolutely great. You keep coming back. You keep allowing us to do this. You give us the vigor to do it again, at least for me. There are plenty of days where I wake up and I look at our view counts and I look at our subscriber counts and I go, what the fuck am I doing this for? And then I see you guys' comments and I go, that's why I'm doing it. So have a happy Christmas. Have a happy New Year. We will be back very soon. In the beginning of New Year, we will have tons of new shows, tons of new content I'm very excited about. And just thank you, Old Man Fam, for being there for us, for this insane amount of time that we have done this without any payments or anything. Like, you think about anybody who does podcasts or YouTube shows usually quits after a year if they're not making money. We're still fucking plugging away. It's kind of crazy. So thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you to Phil, Billy, and Neil. Guys, I've said it before. I can't do this without you guys. You guys are great. You help the content. You help the shows. You're wonderful. I know, Phil, that you said you weren't on that much this year. You had a lot of shit going on, but that doesn't mean shit. We wouldn't have half the subscribers we didn't have if you didn't do Mandalorian and Flack 2 years ago. So,
Yeah.
so all of you, like, both of you guys deserve just as much credit as me. So I appreciate you guys as well. And that is the end of our show and the end of our 2022. Like I said, next week, check us out. Horrible Game Awards, 4th annual Horrible Game Awards. Week after that, we will have the most anticipated games of 2023, and then we'll be back with a not really live, but answering questions and what after that. You guys can also always contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingTH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link is in the description below. Hopefully my fucking voice will be better. Jesus Christ. And then, as usual, as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we will endeavor to continue to make it. We'll see you guys next year.
Later, old man fam.
Oh, my throat is on fire. All right.
When does this one come out again?
This one's going to come out Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
This one will come out Tuesday. The one we recorded Thursday and you recorded before this one will come out the first week of January.
Gotcha.
And then Horrible Game Awards, which I edited today. Thank God I did it today. It took me fucking 4 hours. Will be.
Oh my God.
I mean, with the video media, it's just so much harder because before I would just edit in. What?
I don't know, just whatever Neil was doing looked very inappropriate.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just, like I said, before I got on here, I was going through and getting...
Congratulations.
Neil's like looking at the clock. He's like, if I don't get this done now, I'm not going to be able to get it done.
No, that's kind of like what I'm doing is like...
They can't see my weighing. I'm just going to take care of this.
No, I'm just like, oh, there's fur and fuzz all over my mouse mat here. I'm just going to get it all rolled up here. So I don't have to...
Those folks.
That all sounded like innuendo after we said that.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not doing myself any favors.
Well, you are. That's the point. You're definitely doing yourself a favor.
Congrats.
It's like, Neil, you have anything to plug? Yeah! Well, I'm sorry, what were we talking about? I'm just kidding.